So Phil Jackson came out recently in the news, or I don't know if he said it himself, but it came out in the media recently that apparently he wants the Lakers to keep Russell Westbrook and build around him and trade LeBron James. Now, not only would that be probably most definitely the wrong decision, but also trading LeBron James. Who's going to be the guy to go to LeBron? Possibly, and the GOAT in a lot of people's opinions. My opinion, he's the second, right behind Michael Jordan. Or, in my opinion, they're both the GOATs. You can have multiple GOATs, and they are both amazing for their time eras and how they've played throughout their careers. But who is going to be the guy to go to LeBron and tell him he's getting traded? And where are you going to trade him for? Now, we've seen a few offers, or not really offers from other teams, like fake offers or ideas of where he could possibly land. And I mean, really the most enticing one would be Minnesota. We've seen Patrick Beverley come out and tell people in the media that, hey, I want to play with LeBron. But then we've also seen, they have a playoff team. They made the playoffs this year. They've got a young Anthony Edwards. Cat still relatively young early in his career. I don't even know if we could consider him in his prime yet. So really, they have all the pieces that you would want. And if you think about it, a trade for LeBron, they're not giving up Anthony Edwards or Karl Anthony Towns. So I would imagine it would have to have something to do with, like, multiple first-round picks, maybe like a Jared Vanderbilt, some young guys, Malik Beasley, guys like that. But still, just imagining a world where LeBron James is getting traded for draft capital for the Lakers to rebuild, or you're not making a playoff push with Russell Westbrook and Anthony Davis as your two best players. Anthony Davis, who knows how much he'll be on the court if he's your second or first best player. And Westbrook, I've always been a big Westbrook supporter, but he's just not that guy anymore. He's not as bad as everybody makes him out to be. I always have supported Westbrook. He's been one of my favorite players, and I think he gets the short end of the stick a lot. Like this year with the Lakers, if you guys play 2K, he's all the way down to a 79 overall. I believe he maybe started around 87, 88. And yeah, he had a down year, but he's not that bad. And I think, he's the scapegoat for a lot of situations. We saw it, in Washington, which that Washington team, I wish they would have stayed together, because him and Bradley Beal and all those guys, they were just very entertaining to watch. Back in Houston, nothing was James Harden's fault. It was all Westbrook's fault. Then we know in OKC, him and KD struggled a lot, and I will say maybe some of their losses had to do with his poor play or, his selfishness sometimes down the stretch to not give up the ball. But I think he was still an all-NBA caliber player, and they made it to the finals one year. They were almost there that other year. They blew a 3-1 lead to the Warriors. Not really much you could do about that if you're Westbrook or Durant. But I just think Westbrook does get the short end of the stick, and in my opinion, if the Lakers are going to want to compete next year, their best case scenario is not to trade either of them. Just surround them with shooters. You can get cheap guys that can shoot, that can play defense. Guys like Danny Green. I know Danny Green was on the Lakers a few years ago. I hope he heals quickly, by the way, from his ACL injury in that playoff game. We saw him and Embiid get twisted up. Looked pretty bad. Hopefully he can heal quickly from that, or, he might just call it quits at this point in his career. But there's shooters out there for the Lakers to get, and I think that, that would be their best option. You have LeBron, you've got AD, who hopefully will stay healthy for you if you're a Lakers fan and you want to compete this year. But you've got them. You've got Westbrook as your starting point guard. Maybe you look into trading Kendrick Nunn, sign and trade. I think it's probably time to give up on Talon Horton-Tucker. You've got Austin Reeves, who showed some flashes, and I'd keep him around just because he showed that he can shoot when it's needed, and he's a guy that plays well when he's on the court. But trading LeBron, in my opinion, there's no possible way the Lakers actually go through with trading LeBron. I think maybe Phil Jackson's just kind of talking just to talk. And if you really think about it, if they trade LeBron and they get let's say they get a nice few pieces out of it, like a Malik Beasley, some picks, and Jalen, or do they have Jaden or Jalen McDaniels? They have one of the brothers. I'm assuming, I think it's Jaden McDaniels on the Timberwolves. Jalen is on the Hornets, I believe. I could be getting them mixed up, but you get a few pieces like that back, and you're really starting to look at your roster and we have nothing else. Like Westbrook, do you expect him to get back to his MVP caliber form? Maybe without another guy, but We've seen his three-point shooting just plummet and plummet throughout his career. It has already been bad most of his career, but last year it just went all the way down. And he's never been an efficient guy, but he's been able to hit down threes when needed. I mean, we remember that game winner against the Nuggets to solidify his triple-double averages that year. He hit a deep three for the win. I mean, he's had moments where he's been a above-average three-point shooter, but last year it wasn't good for him. And it's going to be interesting to see what the Lakers do. What do you guys think they should do? They're kind of in a tough situation. We've seen trades floated around. Westbrook to dump him off for a few bad players, young prospects, to get their future looking a little bit better. And I think that's maybe what the Lakers organization is trying to do. Rather than competing right this second, they're trying to solidify themselves to have at least a formidable future, trying to get themselves back out of the hole that they dug themselves in, and the hole that we've seen so many LeBron teams dig themselves in. I mean, happened for the Heat, happened for the Cavs a few years there. The Cavs and the Heat both turned it around relatively quickly, but it did happen for them a few years there, and now it's kind of happening with the Lakers. You know, they trade away Kuzma, Montrezl Harrell, Josh Hart, Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, all of those guys that are basically all competing and playing quality minutes on NBA rosters, to bring in guys like Westbrook, to bring in guys like Anthony Davis, who they have now. And it's going to be interesting how they react to LeBron and Russell Westbrook, how they do over the offseason, if maybe they'll be able to work together again. We'll have to wait and see for that. I'm interested to see what goes on with them, because it's going to be a tough few years in LA once LeBron retires, and it looks like they're trying to kind of create a backup. Almost like when you back up your hard drive. You're trying to get a little bit of assets for the future, but also still compete while LeBron's around. So I'm interested to see how you guys feel about this. I do want to talk about the Timberwolves in another video. We've seen some trades rumored around them. Most notably, D'Angelo Russell has been rumored to be a trade prospect or target for a few teams. And I'm interested in that idea for the Timberwolves, but that's for another video. Let me know what you guys think about how the Lakers should go about this offseason. Should they trade LeBron? Definitely not. But should they trade Westbrook? Keep them together for another year? I personally am in the realm of running it back for just at least one more year, and I'm seeing how they do. How do you guys feel about that outlook? Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe if you enjoy these analysis videos. Do you guys enjoy the NBA? Make sure to hit the subscribe button, because I always talk about the NBA in most of my videos. And I'm enjoying making these commentary style videos more and more as we go on. They're quick, easy to make, and I love talking about sports with you guys. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.